A new Lord of the Rings movie has just been announced, and not only is it bringing back Andy Serkis to the franchise, but it's also got Peter Jackson, director of the original trilogy and the Hobbit movies, along for the ride too. But is the new reveal something to be excited about, or is more Lord of the Rings actually a bad thing? I'm Ewan, welcome to What Culture, and joining me to answer this very important question is one Adam Strawn. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm really good, Ewan. Are you ready to talk all about the One Ring?
The world has Gollum fever because he's still going. We're going to tackle this. We're going to give you obviously the lowdown on the full Lord of the Rings story here. And also kind of approach it from two slightly different perspectives. I think you're more slightly keener on this one, Adam, than me. But yeah, so for those who don't know, yesterday it was reported in the Hollywood trades that we're getting a new Lord of the Rings film. We'd already known that Warner Brothers was planning to do more Lord of the Rings-iness the other year. We've got an animated movie coming out in the near future too. But this one is going to be the Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, and Andy Serkis is going to direct it. And Peter Jackson is back, and it sure does sound like a time. They're looking at a 2026 release date. David Zaslav himself said that, quote, it'll explore storylines yet to be told. So, yeah, I'm going to go into a little bit of the press release here as well. Peter Jackson said that, quote, it is an honor and a privilege to travel back to Middle-earth with our good friend and collaborator Andy Serkis, who has unfinished business with that stinker Gollum. As lifelong fans of Professor Tolkien's vast mythology, we are proud to be working with Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi, and the entire team at Warner Brothers on another epic adventure. And now this gets to my favorite bit, because we now have the the official dialogue from Serkis, where he does a little Gollum impression. He goes, "Yes, precious." Terrible. That was an absolutely appalling impression from me. The time has come once more to venture into the unknown with my dear friends, the extraordinary and incomparable guardians of Middle-earth, Peter, Fran, and Philippa. With Mike and Pam and the Warner Brothers team on the quest as well, alongside Weta and our filmmaking family in New Zealand. It's just all too delicious. Adam, what the hell is even that? This sounds like another chapter in Warner Brothers' rocky decline under Zaslav, but I'm interested in your thoughts.
Okay, so there's a few things to think about when it comes to this. Now, obviously, the number one thing is they're clearly mining IP. Like, let's be real. Like, we are going back to successful IP and going, oh, how much more money can we squeeze out of this? Now, I'm on the fence, because for me, there's a lot of potential, right? Like this world that obviously Tolkien created, there's some amazing stories that can be told within there. The original trilogy are fantastic. They're untouchable. We should leave them alone. And then obviously we had The Hobbit come out, and they milked that to Kingdom Come with 3 movies of a very tiny book. Now, that's my kind of thoughts on this. Like, the story of this, this is something that is referenced in the Fellowship of the Ring, right? So obviously Gandalf hires Aragorn to go and find Gollum. He tracks him down, drags him 50 days over the marshes to the elves, and then Gandalf interrogates Gollum. Now, this is many things, because Viggo Mortensen obviously said no to coming back in a cameo on The Hobbit. Is this going to get Viggo Mortensen back? I don't know. I'm a big fan of Viggo Mortensen. I'd love to see him back. I love the big Viggo energy. We can guess that Ian McKellen's probably going to be on board there. If this is the story that they're going to tell, this does not need to be 3 movies, Ewan. This is like a one and done. But the big thing for me, is how much depth does Gollum have? Like seriously, how much more do we need to hear hobbitses and precious? Like, how much more of that can we literally take? And like, the hunt for Gollum very much suggests that he's going to be at the forefront of this movie. I cannot take any more of this little creature. Like, seriously, like, we've seen him now, and to put him right at the front of this movie, the hunt for him, I'm like, let's go in the other direction. There's plenty more to look at within this realm.
So many interesting things that you've already dropped there. The fact that obviously Mortensen was asked to come back for The Hobbit and was like, I've got better plans, Peter, and kind of avoided those movies, more power to him.
Yeah.
The fact that this is obviously referenced in regards to the story of the Fellowship of the Ring. But also, we just had that Gollum game last year. And for me, Gollum, his moment was like 2003. We all knew people who were perfecting their Gollum impressions back then. I don't think Gollum has been a part of the zeitgeist now for a very long time. And I hate to use the word zeitgeist in a movie, in a discussion about The Lord of the Rings, but for me, this is one of those things where I understand that there is a deep and rich mythology to this franchise, and I've certainly enjoyed getting the opportunity to further explore that in stuff like video games, the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games when they fixed the ladder, great titles. But for me, certainly having really disliked The Hobbit and kind of being just in general, I did not like the filmmaking techniques that were used in that movie. And the thought of them bringing back Ian McKellen for a new one to trap him in his own blue screen hell again, that doesn't sit well with me. For me, I feel like I've had enough Lord of the Rings. I feel like we've got the original 3 movies. That's one of the greatest trilogies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously Warner Brothers are going to Warner Brothers here. We know that they're banking more on IP and franchise stuff, and you could maybe make the argument that they should be milking Lord of the Rings more than they should have. But surely if you're going to do more Lord of the Rings stuff, you'd look to, the other stuff that was in Tolkien published, obviously in the Silmarillion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but there's obviously stuff in there that you could do.
Yeah.
You could do original things. To me, this is like they've gone recognizable name in Gollum, recognizable IP in Lord of the Rings, and let's just do Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. And I cannot imagine saying with my whole chest, going to the movie theater and going, one for the Lord of the Rings and The Hunt for Gollum, and then immediately going, one for the Mandalorian and Grogu. These are 2 of the worst movie titles I think we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's like, it kind of goes back to a little bit of what you and I were saying yesterday about this as well, Ewan, which is basically like, it's the direction which obviously Zaslav is taking, which it almost feels like, oh, hey, do you remember this thing that people loved years ago, like, 20 years ago? Like, let's bring that back, because people were all doing their Gollum impressions. That'll be the big thing that brings money back. And I mean, as you mentioned, the video game, like, wow. Like, that died. Like, literally just died. It came out and died. And, like, it drives me nuts, this whole thing of, and we were talking about, like, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, that is a dying game. And then straight away the thing is, oh, people love the Joker. Let's make him DLC. That he'll be the thing that saves this. And it's like, man, what are we doing? Like, the thing, it reminds me a little bit of, like, Star Wars is guilty of this as well, where we've got this huge, vast universe, shall we say, but especially when it comes to Star Wars. There's so many different stories that could be told. And yet we latch ourselves on to the things that people loved years and years and years ago, because they think, oh, that's the thing that people want to see again. Look, yes, that is lovely for nostalgic reasons, but there is such a playground of stories that can be told in here, things that are happening outside of this. The video games, as you said, have done that, explored different areas, but still give us that familiarity because we know the world that we're in. And that's incredible. And like, don't get me wrong, the TV show definitely had its moments and I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was still very much, it was the characters that we already know and like giving us the origin of that. But give us more of something, tell us some brand new stories with brand new characters within this world that we're familiar with. And I'm on board. I'm more interested than hunting for that bloody Gollum and hearing that voice again. Don't get me wrong, I love Andy Serkis. I think he's incredible. I've seen the man like in the flesh. He's amazing. But to hear that again, like, this was so 2003, guys. Like, let's just let it go.
I think the one positive that I can glean from this situation is that we get more of Serkis behind the camera. I didn't see his Venom movie, which again, it's so weird to think that Andy Serkis directed a Venom movie. I can't get over that. But I'm curious to see how, he hones his craft on a bigger franchise vehicle. And certainly, it's his bread and butter. That in itself should hopefully, those are some positives to glean from the situation. But overall, I think what the Lord of the Rings needs, if you're going to do a new movie, is fresh blood. We don't need to go back, like you say, and revisit those older storylines. I'd also like to see new creative filmmakers involved. Peter Jackson is on board to produce, but he hasn't really done anything of note since the Hobbit movies. Obviously, he's been involved in the documentary scene. He's done... the Beatles Get Back and working on the AI restorations and stuff. So he's in his own little world. But I don't think that's a name I hear and get excited about him being back in that space again. I feel like it's time for something new. And this very much, again, feels like Warner Brothers dipping back into the well of, we have Gollum. Let's bring Gollum out. I want more Gollum. Let's go get more Gollum. And I just can't imagine thinking that, unironically, in 2024. But I'm curious to know what everyone in the comments section actually thinks this news themselves. Have I been a bit too narky on this new Lord of the Rings movie? Are you looking forward to the idea of more rascally adventures with Gollum? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And obviously be sure to give us a like and subscribe to What Culture if you haven't already for more lovely news pieces and discussions like this straight to your inbox every single week. For now, though, I have been Ewan.
And I've been Adam.
And we will catch you next time.